Welcome to the Investor Fuel Real Estate Investing Show, where I interview the nation's top real estate entrepreneurs, industry leaders, and other amazing entrepreneurs to help educate and inspire you to take your business and your life to the next level. My goal is to add tremendous value to you during every single episode of this show. If you get value, I'd love it if you subscribe on your favorite podcast player, subscribe on YouTube, and my very favorite, please share this with your community so we can impact even more entrepreneurs. Let's start today's show. Hey everyone, welcome back to the show. Today I'm here with my good friend and the one and only Elijah Rubin. This guy is a rock star. What we're going to talk about today is national wholesaling. So we probably all know folks that have done this over the years. It's got its own set of unique opportunities and challenges that we're going to talk about today. If you've been used to just kind of wholesaling in your market or operating in your market and you go nationally, the grass might seem greener, and there is a lot of opportunity out there, but it's got its own challenges too, as we talked about. So we're going to talk about that today with Elijah. These guys are operating really, for the most part, nationwide. There might be a couple states you guys are trying to avoid. I don't know, but I guess at the end of the day, you'll go anywhere if the deal's right. So Elijah, welcome to the show, buddy.
Yes, thank you, Mike. Thank you, man. I'm excited to be on here and talk with the whole Fuel family.
Yeah.
Love it. Thank you.
Yeah. We love having you in Investor Fuel too. You guys add so much value and got a lot of energy too. So I appreciate that always.
By all means.
Man. Hey, tell us a little bit about your background. I know you weren't always investing nationally, and I know you got some history doing some other things too. But tell us how you kind of got into real estate investing and how you got to where you are today.
Sure. Now, I'm in Phoenix, Arizona. You know, I think I'm the only Trinidadian Jew in all of real estate. I'm the only one. I'm in my 21st year. I started back in '04. You know, so I started off door knocking first. I started at the auctions, then did the door knocking, got into probate after the '08 collapse. You know, really figured out a unique niche of buying fire damage properties. Branded myself as a fire damage king and had a coaching education program for a little while.
Yep.
And then created Close Olympics, segued from over there, and that led us into partnering with Lead Zolo to do nationwide leads, and about partner Mike Lima and our team Jennifer. And now, after fast forward over 21 years, done over 1,000 plus properties. You know, I've done a lot of different, learned a lot of lessons, as well as helped a lot of people, and definitely grateful for the experience.
Yeah. At what point did you go from just kind of the local guy to start doing stuff nationally?
So probably about 2.5 years ago, almost 3 years ago, because of the partnership with Lead Zolo, we're able to, you know, kind of get this unique opportunity where we're able to get nationwide leads, where we're able to partner with them, kind of cut down some upfront costs, and partner with them on the holdings. We're trying to build $100 million portfolio together.
Yeah.
And so there's a big audacious goal over 5 years. So based about 3 years ago, we really kind of formulated the process. Yes, last year was a real year. We really did real nationwide. I mean, usually we do about 50 to 80 deals a year, and those are all Arizona. I mean, like 90% of them. I mean, I do a fire damage deal here and there in California, a different market. But once we started doing nationwide, I did like maybe 3 deals in Arizona and another 100 plus all nationwide. So there's definitely a lot of lessons.
Yeah. And right around that time is when interest rates changed, where things just generally got harder for everybody, right? And Phoenix is always a challenging market. It's like Dallas. There's a couple of investor hotbeds. And I guess you guys kind of started thinking about maybe the grass is greener if we change our model up a little bit as well, right?
Yeah. I mean, I always thought about, you go to the network, and oh man, these deals are here. I'm getting deals. Like, man, that sounds so much better. Buying the same. There's always so many motivated sellers in your market, right? So you're thinking there's more over there. But the grass is greener, but there also comes with some other lawn expectations.
Yeah. And we're going to talk about, we got a stacked conversation today to talk about. I know the reality is Dispo is a whole another animal when you're trying to do it in far off lands, right? And so, and people where you kind of take for granted, especially you that's been doing it for a long time, you've got a lot of relationships in Phoenix that help you, but all of a sudden a deal pops up in Des Moines, Iowa or somewhere else. You're like, I don't know anybody there. So, or not many people, right? So, yeah. Well, let's kind of jump into, we want to go through this a little bit methodically, just like differences in talking to sellers when it's all over the phone and it's all national and you're in a far off land. Like, let's talk about kind of how to approach sellers differently than what you might do just locally.
hmm Well, one of the best things I like about Lead Zolo and PPL leads and almost any other lead source, cold calling, mailers, door knocking, they filled out a form. They want to talk to you. So now I'm able to kind of have a different conversation and let them know, like, hey, you filled out a form. Are you on my website? Are you still looking to sell this property? So I'm able to get a couple micro agreements really quick, get them in yes pattern with me, as well as open up, that 10-second window. Who is this? It
Yeah.
opens a 30-second window, a minute window. Like, oh yeah, I did fill out the form. Oh yeah, I do want to sell a property. Great. What were you looking to get for it? You can ask these questions that you can't really ask in any other type of lead source because they're like, well, you called me, well, you make the offer. Anytime they kind of play into those games, I'm able to say, like, listen, most people are very serious about filling out forms, want to sell, they know what they want. I don't have to guess what they want. It sounds like you might be a little curious right now about something not too serious, and being able to kind of do a takeaway close allows them to say, no, 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 I am serious. Here's the number, and now we're able to really start negotiating. Um, but like said, like you had mentioned earlier, it's in Arizona. You tell me the major cross street and square footage. I know where I need to buy that property, and I know who I'm going to sell it to.
Right.
I go in a different market. I'm like, I think there's a good deal. The comps look like it's a good deal. So you're kind of going off of what you feel the numbers are, not 100% sure.
Yeah. And when you're talking to folks now, you guys are, I presume, you get a fair number of rural leads, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
Which the challenge with that is those are always easy to acquire, and you just have to get them deeper because they're harder on the dispo side, right? I don't want to. I know we're going to talk about dispo. I don't want to steal the thunder, but how do you set the expectations with the sellers that you're buying? You know, you're generally buying houses in this model probably deeper than what you would in Phoenix, I guess,
for
because
sure.
Phoenix is so competitive. You're almost like at an auction trying to figure out how you can justify paying a little bit more if you have to, right?
Right.
Yeah. So how do you set that expectation with a seller? I mean, does it come up that you're not local and
Yeah.
do you set the expectation that sometimes there's a chance the deal might not work out because you guys have to bake that into your model so that you're not having to close on houses in far off lands you never even heard of before, right? So talk about
Yeah.
some of that, how that's a little bit different maybe.
Yeah, we definitely try to set proper expectations up front and let them know, like, hey, it's all about, setting expectation, people, treating people with dignity, let them know what's expected of them, what's
Yeah.
expected of us, what's
Right.
expected outcomes, and then what happens if those expectations aren't met. So there's
Yeah.
no misunderstanding. So we definitely let them know, hey, we're buying this property. We are a nationwide property. I'm in Arizona. You're in this many hours. So if you call me at this time, I'm probably not going to answer. Call me at this time, I probably will. Um, and then we kind of walk them through the process of, hey, once we sign a contract, then we're going to do our underwriting. We trust everybody, but we verify everything. All right.
Yeah.
And so we're going to need to verify it. And when we connect with our transaction coordinator, we let them know if you want this to close on time, it's super imperative that you get us access to inside the property and we get pictures. If you don't have pictures, we can't complete our underwriting. As we do our underwriting, if we find something that you didn't know and I didn't know, and it wasn't disclosed or it was unknown, we got to come and revisit this number. Is there anything you need to tell me? And so they you'd say no, no, no. And then, but if we do find something, I set all that track up front. I'm like, remember I told you about the underwriting? We found out about this, and you didn't know about it. I didn't know about it, but now that we discovered it, we need to readjust this number.
Yeah, so you're making an offer up front. So your kind of initial underwriting, if you will, and the offer is based on the information that they told you. So if
hmm
they said, no, the HVAC system is perfect, and you get out there and it looks like a rusted out piece of junk that needs to be replaced, you're like, well, I didn't count on, there another 5 or 6 grand for that, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
So you don't, nobody likes to do it, but you've set the expectation up front of like, I'm using your information and you guys might have to retrade that after you find out that, they misled you or didn't tell you the truth on something, right?
And some people just don't know. Some people that
Yeah.
they inherited a property. I haven't been there in 2 years, so
Yeah. Yeah.
they just don't know. But we let them know there's a cost for the unknowns, and we're undiscovering that for you because if I find out the next investor, we're all going to be at this number anyways.
Yeah. So I know investors do different things, but do you send some boots on the ground out there to take pictures and inspect it ultimately, or you're just relying on them taking pictures, or maybe you're relying on your ultimate buyers to come back to you and say, "Hey, man, you didn't tell me about this," and you're like, "Well, we didn't know about that," and like,
Sure, sure.
who's ultimately finding out the
The
truth?
real deal.
Yeah.
So we had to do a lot of trial and error on this one, but and
Yeah.
this is a pro tip for you guys. Everybody's watching this, pens up on this part, all right? This is really helpful. I mean, I promise you, this is gonna save you thousands of dollars. If you're doing virtual deals, we was reaching out to realtors, we were talking to investors, and some people are like, that's a good deal, I'll take that deal. So you don't want that happening either. So using 123notary.com, nationwide notaries, 123notary.com. You can find or and if you have nobody in that area, just Google in that zip code, notary in the zip code. I find notaries will go ahead, we pay them $50, $100 if it's super far. Not only will they go and take pictures for you, and they're talking about 30 to 50 pictures for you. They're putting lot boxes on there. If you need something to get signed, they're able to sign it. And we do one more thing special, but I'll say that for a little later, what we do with these notaries. Uh, and um, and then you don't have to worry about them trying to take the deal because that's not what they do. They just here to sign
Yeah.
paperwork.
So you're finding notaries who are like mobile notaries anyway. They're used
Hmm.
to having to drive to do something, and you're like, hey, I don't need you to know. Well, you might be having to meet with sellers,
Sometimes,
but yeah, but
sometimes.
like while you're there, I need you to do some extra things that you might not normally do. Are you cool with that? Is that what you're doing?
Yeah. We just
Yeah,
don't, hey,
that's
we need
cool.
you to take pictures of nothing. Usually by this time, we already got the contract, so usually
Yeah,
they don't have to do anything else. Give me 15 minutes of your time. You're already in the zip code, and here's $50 for your time. And if we do need to use another notary, you're going to be our person.
yeah, that's cool. That's cool. Have you ever tried Jimmy John's driver to go out and take?
Not Jimmy John, but I have postmated food before and
Yeah.
had them take and to get the guy on the call. So I have done that before.
Yeah. So I know one of the lessons you guys learned is like every deal is not a deal and your time is really valuable, right? So kind of the opportunity cost of your time when you're running as many leads as you guys are to try to find deals all over the country. So what are some lessons learned there? Because I know you guys sometimes if it doesn't smell great, you're like, it's not worth the effort, right?
Hmm. Well, once again, we had to learn some valuable
Yeah.
lessons on this side too. Like I said, I think we did like 260 contracts last year, and we had 160 of them cancel.
Hmm.
So we had to learn at the cost. Because first, like, no, no, just lock it up. We'll find out what the buyers say. Like, no, 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 no,
Yeah.
no, no, honey, don't do that because we had to learn the hard way. Because each deal we don't close, it costs us about $5,000 of our opportunity cost, our team's time, and our team's capacity that
Wow.
you don't calculate at first. Like, oh, just lock it up. It's fine. It's paperwork. You're
Right.
not thinking you're spending that money, but you're costing your team money and your
Yeah.
time.
It's a
So when we looked
distraction.
at, what?
It's a
Yeah,
distraction.
distractions, you're just bogging down the system. That these aren't deals that you could have seen up front, that you could
Yeah.
underwritten up front, once you got pictures back, whatnot. And so we started looking at opportunity costs. I mean, we looked at that as $800,000 worth of possible our team's time capacity that we lost. So we got
Yeah.
really serious about it. Just if we don't see $15,000 worth of profit, if there's not a clear path to profit, meaning that there's not enough buyer activity, there's not enough population, we simply would not work that deal. We'll rather pass it off to a JV partner, someone who's maybe local,
Yeah.
let them do that deal, and we can look at a percentage of it.
Yeah, and does that, from an underwriting standpoint, does that do you just basically say we'll do the deal, but we got to get it deeper than what we would have in the past because we know that it's going to be you have an opportunity cost, right? So I mean, if you got a good enough deal on it, like you're willing to do that, but if you're not going to go chase it if it looks like a mediocre deal.
At first, we were that think about that, but then we saw like you can even get deals for 5,000, but there's only five people in that whole county. No one's buying it, so no matter how good
Yeah,
it is, so you have to have some population. We use investor base, so we're looking to see what activities there are. We going to be able to sell this?
yeah,
And a good way to think about this is think of the end in mind first. Who am I going to sell this to? Is there enough margin? Is there enough profit here that somebody will be willing to buy this? And if they're not, and until we get the Ted Schneider model where you just buy it, he buys himself and takes it down, which eventually we want to do,
yeah.
but
That
for
is
right
the
now,
difference, right? Is like a lot of those rural areas, the great play there is to owner finance those off, but you got to
yeah.
have deep pockets to take those down, right? And so you're just trying
Hmm.
to wholesale them, and there's not a lot of wholesale activity. In some markets, probably zero wholesalers, right? So,
Hmm.
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. So let's talk about cancellations a little bit because obviously
Sure.
nobody likes to cancel deals, but some of it is the expectation you set up front that this may or may not work out. And I know you guys are you just said you're kind of passing on a bunch of deals you might have otherwise. So how do
Hmm.
you set the expectation up front that the deal might get canceled without becoming that investor kind of, honestly, douchebag that's just locking stuff up and they're like, and in their mind, like, I'll cancel it if I have to. Like, you go into these not wanting to cancel
Not
anything,
at
but it,
all.
but it
Right.
might, it might happen, and you have to set the
Hmm.
expectations with the seller on that.
Yeah. Yeah, we definitely try to set expectations up front. And we're just, I mean, Mike, myself, the reason why we work really well together, we're closers with character integrity. We like to treat people the way we like to be treated. We do understand there's going to be circumstances where we can't keep these deals. So what we done to keep down cancellations is really created a three-step underwriting process. So you got the first step, MAO, you get your first initial MAO. We're really looking at the numbers. Well, actually, let me take a step back. Because now we have so many leads that come in nationwide, we created a lead optimizer position. And as lead optimizer position, he literally goes into leads and vets the leads to make sure there's enough populations, over 10,000 population, there's over at least 20 actives, over at least 10 solds in this area. So we know that there's some activity. So that's one thing that helped us tremendously. So I'm not bogging down my guys, and my guys like, oh, I gotta get something locked up, so they lock up anything. Versus you only see deals that are impossible to close. So that was one thing that tremendously helped lower our cancellation rate. Then getting good MAOs out, so us getting good numbers and fast within 24 hours to them. So that's the first round of underwriting. Then once we get pictures back from the notaries or the sellers, they send us pictures. That's the second round of underwriting where we know, hey, we need to either we're priced right, we're going to put it out the marketing. We're priced wrong, we need to renegotiate, or hey, we're way off. We missed the ball on this one. But let's cut ties so we're not wasting the seller time. They can find somebody else. We can connect them with the realtor, put them in a better position versus what other people do, wait till 2 days before close, ask, oh, sorry, I got to cancel, which we don't do that
Yeah.
and then the third one is once we get buyer feedback, we think the comps look good. We see the activity, but the buyers may see things that we didn't see. The notaries didn't pick up. They might know the area differently. That dirt road that has potholes on it and ain't gonna be fixed. Stuff that we would never thought about. Well,
Right.
sometimes we had to come back and negotiate a better price on those
Yeah, yeah.
situations.
Or attempt to, yeah. Yep. So, what role do kind of relationships and JVs play? Because you're obviously wholesaling a lot of this stuff off. You talked about notaries, but I know you're building all sorts of relationships with people that can help you in different markets across the country. Like, talk about the role of relationships to this
Sure.
business model.
Yeah, I think it's super important, in this type of market, when things get really tough, I think it's super important to have quality relationships. And the best way to cultivate good relationships is go to high level masterminds like Investor Fuel. But
Yep.
if you don't have the ability to do that, go to your local RIAs. Go to
Yeah.
your other people and reach out to people on bigger pockets. And I'm a big fan of adding value first, attitude of servitude. How can I add value to you? What can I do to help you? And if you help enough people get what they want, they're going to help you get anything you need. And when you have a call, they're ready to take your call because they know you're not asking, hey, can I borrow a loan? Can I pick your brain? They know you're here to add value and they're eager to return it. Once you kind of have that mentality and people start knowing you for that, then you can start pairing up with these quality relationships. And I have we had a deal in Lubbock, Texas, and we're like, hey, Austin, you're Mr. Lubbock, Texas. Hey,
Yeah.
let's you work the deal because our dispo is not going to work as well as you are. You're gonna know if the numbers are right. You're gonna know if there's buyers in this area. You're gonna know if we bought it right. You're gonna collapse our conversion cycle down
Yeah.
tremendously, and that allows him to do deals. And then in return, guess what? When he has deals he needs help with, it reciprocates. And I
Hmm.
think there's a huge competitive advantage if you get out of the mindset of scarcity. No, this is my deal. I don't want them to take it. Mindset of abundance, add value, create quality relationships, and they could pay off tremendously.
Yeah, that's awesome. And what are some lessons you've learned? Because if folks are going to do this as well, they're going to be up against, are you using local title companies? Do you try to find a national title company, which sounds good, but has challenges as well, right? Like just some of the, like, I guess, what are the relationships that must be local? And what are the relationships that you found that are national in scope that are good, that work well?
Yeah, I think title companies. I think it's super imperative to get a local title company. We did the national one time, and they're
Yeah,
good in certain states, but not good across the board.
right.
Close title has been pretty strong. And we use them a lot. But I think when it comes to title company, super imperative to get somebody local who knows the area, knows the market, and can get things turned around faster if there's an issue, right? When notaries, obviously, I think to be local notaries, one player thing we do, and for anybody who gets ghosted on sellers or get ghosted on buyers, another pro tip: using a mobile notary. If they don't answer the phone, we pay the notary 50, $100 just to go and drive to the car, drive to the house, knock on the door, and pass the phone to them. And like, I got someone who wants to talk to you,
Yeah.
and we literally
Wow.
close 4 deals that way.
Yeah.
So that's another tip.
Yeah, that's interesting. Okay. And let's talk about some lessons learned on the Dispo side. So this, I think that's one of the bigger lessons, right? And certainly in the even the past 2.5 years, Dispo has gotten harder because a lot of there's not as many buyers like just in the marketplace. Money's more expensive, like all those things. So what
Hmm.
are, not if you kind of take out like, hey, the market's changed, but in this
Hmm.
model, what are some lessons you've learned from a Dispo standpoint?
Yeah, we like I said, a
I know
lot
you've
of
learned some
I think
hard
your
lessons,
teeth
yeah.
kicked in a little bit.
Especially when
We're
you're in
like,
Phoenix,
wow.
you're like, hey man, everything we can buy, we can sell, right?
Oh
But
yeah,
then you
Phoenix.
get
I
off
mean,
in Biloxi, Mississippi, and you're like, it's crickets, right?
a little hard, a little bit more challenging. So we had some challenges with some of our Dispo guys. The problem is on Dispo, especially with all the technology and everything. I send out the blast. I'm waiting for the emails, inquiries to come back, and that's cool. And when markets are good, but when markets are hard like this, you gotta pick up the phone.
Yeah.
Great deals will sell themselves, but you're suddenly having great deals, right? So you have good deals or decent deals, which they're not gonna sell themselves, which you gotta sell them. So big believer in TTP. Brent Daniels, talk to people, pick
Yeah.
up the phone, talk. I think that's a big piece. I think building buyer profiles, especially nationwide, and building up these relationships. You're already on the call. Take time to find their buy box. If they're not the right buyer, get their buy box of all the players. And then what we do, like I said, we use investor lift, investor base. One thing I do like to do, if those don't yield any really good buyers, a little technique I like to do, what I train our guys to, we go to prop stream and we pull buyers who own properties, cash buyers who own over 10 plus properties, who bought properties within the last 2 years that are not in LLCs, individual entity people. If people who bought 10 plus properties, they know the game, they know what's happening, and they're eager to talk to somebody like you who's bringing a deal that they didn't have to go and find.
Yeah.
So
These are landlords. All
these are
or
landlords. They can be flippers, but who are
okay.
just active that own property. That bought properties in that area and they own over
Yeah.
10 of them. So they're
Yeah.
active and they're players.
You got to dig a little bit deeper, right?
Got to dig deeper. You got to follow up with calls and text messages. Most dispo people, like I said, they only send text messages, right? They don't. I'm not calling double dial buyers, double dial, just like we do the sellers, double dial buyers. Most people don't do that.
Hmm.
And like, who the
Yeah.
heck is this? And they think it's a deal, right? So no, it's you. You are a deal, right? And
Yeah.
so double dial buyers, text message, multiple text message, because the squeaky wheel gets the oil. And they get so many emails and so many deals coming to them. How to make sure you stand out against the rest.
Yeah. Yeah. And let's talk a little bit about follow up. Like you guys have so many leads working because you're casting such a wide net. You're doing this nationwide. I know what happens is sometimes there's so many leads coming in that people get sloppy follow up because there's just more coming in the pipe all the time. Like how do you, but the money's in the follow up, right? So
Right.
how do you religiously stay on top of follow up and not just focus on the new lead, the next lead, the next lead, the next lead?
Hmm. And that's the hard part with acquisition, guys, right? I need fresh leads. It's the leads. These leads are
It's the
stale. Like,
leads.
nah,
It's
you probably
always the
just didn't
leads.
hit them
Yeah.
enough. Especially these leads. These are PPL leads. So if they didn't sell the property, that means you didn't talk to them, or they just didn't like you possibly, and that could be fine. Pass it on to somebody else in the team.
Yeah.
So when it comes to follow up, we have a thing we call 3x3 method. And this is a good way to make sure, and I highly recommend you guys use this even if you're doing deals locally. Make sure that you're squeezing the juice out of the deal, out of opportunity. So you call that first lead 3 times a day for that first week. Then you call them 3 times a week for the next 3 weeks, and then call them 3 times a month until one of you two dies. All right. So until they tell you to take me off this list, you're gonna keep touching them. And if you're willing to do that, because the average deal, people don't realize it takes about 7 to 9 touches to get a deal done. And people think I'm gonna one. They see close Olympics, I'm gonna one call close them. Sure, that happens once in a while.
Yeah.
But you ain't paying bills like that.
Right.
This
Right.
is
Right.
fortune to follow up.
Yeah, the reality is, we used to a long time ago think we were studs if we did one call closes, and then you realized if they agree to the price that quickly, you probably overpaid.
Right,
Right?
definitely go paid, right.
Because
Sure.
you made an offer and they're like, "I'll take it," and you're like, "Oh crap!
Saint.
What did I miss?"
Right.
Can't be that
10,000 too
easy.
high.
Yeah, yeah.
Sure.
So Elijah, good stuff, man. Any kind of words of wisdom you want to share with folks that are in their market and they're thinking about, going nationally? Any other kind of words of wisdom that we didn't discuss here today?
Yeah, just understand something one of my mentors shared with me that gave me a good frame and perspective. I want to share with you guys. If you do what's easy in life, life is gonna be hard. If you do what's hard in life, life will be easy.
Yeah,
So doing wholesale when you first start, like, oh my goodness, all the leads, the comms, the paperwork, the contract, the escrow, it felt like it was gonna be a lot. But once you figured it out, you see, oh, assignment, the paperwork, the title company handles that. Oh, it's a lot easier once you get in the water, right?
yeah,
Same thing. So if you're thinking about doing nationwide, you don't go all the way nationwide. Maybe pick 3 or 4 markets. Start
yeah,
with show that you get evidence that I could do this. That if Mike could bake a cake, if Elijah could bake a cake, why can't you? All right. And
yeah,
the same things are
for
out there. So
sure.
trust yourself, trust the process, respect your progress, and don't get caught up on the Instagram. I need instant gratification. Start, if you really want longevity, 20 plus years, really start respecting, valuing long term gratification, knowing that it's not going to happen overnight. And then one other thing I'll give you guys too, especially if you have a team with acquisition guys and disposition guys, and times are tough, and you might have a bad month or two. For you as a leader as well as your team, I really say this when you let them know, hey, you're not laying a brick. All right, you're not laying a brick. You're helping build a cathedral. So what you're building is something bigger than just what you see every day. So every day you're showing up, you're part of something bigger. And once they understand there's a purpose here and there's something valued here, now they're growing something together, not just showing up for a job to get paid.
That's great. That's great. Awesome, man. Good stuff. Well, I appreciate you sharing some insights with us today.
For sure. No, thank you for the opportunity to share with the family.
Yeah, yeah.
Boom.
If folks want to learn more about you guys, what you got going on, tell us some places they can go connect.
Sure. Sure. So by all means, you could always reach out to me on Instagram, Elijah Rubin, Rubin, Elijah Rubin on Instagram and Facebook. You can check out my Elijah Rubin YouTube channel. I'm doing a closer's diary, so that still we closed for 125,000. We're kind of breaking down what I did, how I said it, a little piece of the audio call. So if you have, if you're struggling on what to say and how to say, you can always look at those. I am the fire damage king. So if you get any fire damage deals nationwide, you need help with them, in markets that are 250,000 plus, reach out to me. Let me see how I can help serve and add value. I'm a big believer, like I said, serving your way to the top.
Awesome. Good stuff. You guys, if you're listening to this, there's some great insights here. You need to follow Elijah. His partner, Mike Lima, is also, these guys are in Investor Fuel. Amazing. Guys, you guys won Biggest Giver Award a couple times now for just
Yeah, we
coming in
got
and
two. I'm
adding a
going
ton
back
of
for my
value.
third. I'm going back for my third. It's such a
Yeah,
cool award. You get it. Once I saw you could get that award, I'm like, what?
yeah,
I'm like
yeah,
eagerly looking to like, what can I answer? What link can I send? What podcast can I refer?
yeah,
That's such a good way to get everybody engaged at your masterminds. I really like that.
yeah. I appreciate that, buddy. So glad to have you guys in the group. So awesome. If you're looking to start national wholesaling, there's some great tips here for you guys. It's a lot of us have shiny object syndrome. We think the grass is greener on the other side of the fence. There's a lot of opportunity out there, but there's a lot of opportunity in focus as well. So, not saying you shouldn't do it, but there's some challenges, and hopefully, some of the lessons that Elijah's learned, he shared here today, will help you kind of climb that learning curve even faster. Awesome, guys. Appreciate you for joining us on the show today. Have a great
Thank
rest of the
you.
week. We'll see you on the next show. Thanks for joining us for today's show. You can learn more about the amazing benefits of the Investor Fuel Mastermind community, including surrounding yourself with hundreds of other rock stars, 100% financing on your deals, and members-only discounts from vendors you're likely already using that, as a member of Investor Fuel, will save you more than the cost of your membership. Visit investorfuel.com to learn more. You can also check out the show's notes for access to free resources, how to get access to world-class lead generation, and even how to work with me directly one-on-one. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another episode. See you on the next show.